Welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Justice for All. And on our last edition, or installment, however you like to call it, we've got a lot done in under a day, and such awesomeness cannot be complied without trying to make things right. So in order for us to make things right, we must go to court. And now, I present to you the courtroom battle of the case of the Nickel Samurai, as we continue this Let's Play already in progress. Chapter start! March 22, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way! That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia, we must get a complete acquittal today. I know. I can't focus on my situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. Oh no, it's the Konami symbol! It's him. This is Wright. Good morning, Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Ah! For myself, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial opens, even if you don't like my gift. I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. Wait! Damn it. I got everything all over me just because I want to get a footrest. The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer, dude, who was that? No one. Has nothing to do with you. So forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? March 22nd, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 3. Court's now in session for the trial of Madam God. Are the prosecution and defense ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor, please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma, this morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. It's present? Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she disappeared, this would be to your advantage. This is totally insane! Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. You! I thought he'd show up. Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready. Naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I've looked in this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Ungard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation? My name is Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct, for now. For now. After this trial's over, I am supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift up your head and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah. It would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. The bare facts of this case. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes Award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ended, the victim was alone in his room. Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their room, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Well, let's do the following, shall we? Press every statement. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. Ended around 8 p.m. And then there was a short break. special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 13-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, Detective. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's a defendant, Matt Ungod's manager. She's a pretty lady, sir. So she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Ungard. After visiting his room, she went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body. Hold it. The cause of death. Wasn't that because of Mr. Corda? The cause of death, wasn't that because Mr. Corda was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention will be drawn here to the bandana. Banana. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped around tightly. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Oh, yes. I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then what about the knife? Seemed to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here. So we get the autopsy report. About that guitar case. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The German Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? I found I really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get that. How's that? We thought of that too, but the only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims. I see. That's so much for my theory then. So that gets updated. Let's press that. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gateway Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corda, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. And when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before it got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt Ungard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well, Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. guard. Man on guard and one corridor were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the German ninja's button. It was ripped off of the ninja costume and was found in Miss On-Guard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out clearly, sir. So we get the knife added, and the button. And there's this button. It was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? Is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? And we get the button. All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, Wright? I'll find a hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Well, not much to actually point here, so we're going to do the following. Press 2. Wait just 1 second here. Mr. Unguard was beating Mr. Corda in the popularity polls. Well, yeah, I guess, but... Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all. Yes, I quite agree. Well, Detective, it's not, well, I guess if you play it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have no motive. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired. Not you too, Mr. Edgeworth, sir, that's... I look forward to your pension negotiations. No, Detective, let's continue with the testimony. Oh, not my poor pension, too. Detective! If you value your money, I suggest you proceed! Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir. What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? We're actually going to go to here and present the knife. Objection! Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument that this is a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel, the Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this. I did not. Oh. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corder's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. There is a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matongard. Especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife. We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matongard's knife was missing. Mr. Ungard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit to kill, of course? And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. It seems like Edgeworth had this planned from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps, and I walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There's quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of Your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Well, Phoenix. The judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out to the sound of our defeat. Mr. Wright, you have something important and necessary to present to this court. Actually, I do. There's one. One piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I'm giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, Wright, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. You may... Yeah, look at that bar. It's flashing. You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to this court? Found next to the victim is filled with tomato juice. No sign has been drank. Take that! This is a wine glass, is it not? Please, look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not been fallen over with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Did everybody done shit a brick again? Well, what do you all have to say? Oh, well, yes, it's a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth, what is it, Your Honor? Your opinion? You don't need my opinion. Because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? You know what I say to that? There's no way. If I appear weak here, the trial is over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They just might fall for it. If you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the... We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. You've turned the situation on its head yet again as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Adrian Andrews. What?! That's why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe I fell into another trap! Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corder. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Now do you see, Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. I thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Well, wait a second. Mr. Edgeworth, I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Oh dear. Oh dear. Witness! Your name and occupation, please! Gotcha! Gotcha! Man. I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. It's been about a year since you last met it. You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that? Under that. Let me do that again. That sounds so much. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that? Under that helmet. It was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand! I tell you this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Everything that's allowed to do with that type of crime. Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all that this court needs to know. Shush! I'm talking to my daddy right now. Don't interrupt us, Crumbs. Yes, madam. No, please! By all means, interrupt her! Please! Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say that youth are hard-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Richie. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Olberg? It was a great job being able to see my test during one. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that Hong Kong. Think he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I've no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man. One corner. But those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was passing in front of his room at night. Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Oh dear. It's not gonna bode well. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of Port Juan's room. It was on guard, Matt on guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So, Mr. On guard came out from the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Well, there's only one thing I had to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, saw my client. Are you sure about that? Yes. Really? Annoying bastard! I said I saw something! I saw that person! Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a mess like this last year, I should delve into a bit. Maybe to avoid a mess like last year, I should delve into this a bit further. The person's clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. But it shows the manual really as if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That goy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket. He was wearing that at the detention center too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? Very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important? Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request what the witness said about the jacket to be appended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but all right. Witness, please. Ah, well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. He was wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just a show. Well, in this case, I'd like to present something. The jamming ninja's butt. Objection! Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. Don't you know what this is? What? Button number 2 on the jamming ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here! Give it here! If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this! That's what she said. Wow, she really is a diehard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Unguard's body during a full body search. See? See? His button appears beyond a shadow of a doubt. It was that rascal Ungard. It was caught in the pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants. See? See? And Ungard is a nickel samurai. Witness! Now it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination. But just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Ungard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Really now? I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear! If I were to tread your chest and maybe blood, Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So, what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Ungard, that man, but Mr. Ungard, the nickel samurai? But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Yes, you boo. Do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth thinking about. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you can testify. Alright, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. I know. What you saw. Angad. Yes, now I remember. The Nickel Samurai, that's right. It was the Nickel Samurai I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. You had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the time, you know. I must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when you were stabbing Part 1. I knew it. Please, do enlighten us. Please. I knew you'd say that he was inside that costume. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Youngins, today I told you there's no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so. What I say is the truth. At least she's just as delightful witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. You are so... Objection! Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If y'all trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at! What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? Speed racers. There. Objection! If Mr. Ungard was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, it would have been wiped all... Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off. Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There is no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At the time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But the the murders still did take place. It's well known that the defendant and the victim had bad blood between them. Yes, I've heard of that. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there problems with this theory? Contradiction. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Ungard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Namely, the knife. This knife was used by Mr. Ungard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Corda, I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on this knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order, I say! Order in the court! Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? To frame Ungard. It's to frame my client, Mr. Ungard, of course. To frame. Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the nickel samurai in costume. And if it were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Good! Greatness! Looks like I made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, NG? Witness, did you or did you not really see the nickel samurai? I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Ungard with the nickel samurai, his character on TV? But I mean, I really can't do anything about that. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the nickel samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the nickel samurai? All right, then. Who were you waiting around for, then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling you were waiting for Mr. Wong Corda. Am I a correct witness? The way you think you are, sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I, an amateur? So Old Bag was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corda. Maybe Phoenix. Maybe the Old Bag was waiting around for that person. If it's who I think Mia's hinting at, it's certainly possible. It's Old Bag. You were waiting around. You were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? That person is Adrian Andrews. Who is this person? This is Adrian Andrews, Miss Unguard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor. Oh, this is... Well, this is... Mercy. The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing. And then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's... Adrian Andrews, without a doubt. The witness thought so as well. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn confidentiality stuff. Witness? What in the world are you... Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. And on that note, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here, make a save just in case something happens. And with that, I'll be right back with more Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Justice for All.